What's going on YouTube? Welcome back. We're answering a question and this one is about spending money. So stick around to the end of the video. We'll talk about how to not spend as much money to get better at shooting, because that's exactly the question. In fact, let me read it. How do I get better at shooting without spending a lot of money? Specifically, that was the question. Of course, if you've been following this channel for some time, you know that I'm a heavy believer in Dryfire, right? Dryfire is not going to be a big investment in money. It's going to be a big investment in time. But in my opinion, time is more important than money, because you can always make more money. But God's resource of time, you only get so much on planet Earth. And I feel like if you invest it poorly, you're kind of squandering it. So when people talk about money, I'm like, all right, you can always make more money, man. Like, I understand. But I know what they're asking. In my opinion, spend your time well as well. Period. Next paragraph. So how do you get good at shooting without spending more money, right? So the investment in the dry fire piece is paramount. I've made other videos about dry fire in the past. You know how much of a believer I am in it. If you're dry firing well, and by well, I mean you have specific things that you're looking for in your dry fire, specific things you're paying attention to in dry fire, specific skills that you're improving by way of, I do this to get this, I pay attention to this to improve this. Like, it's very specific that way. It's not just I open up a book about dry fire and I see drill number 6 is turn and draw 6, reload 6. Okay, there's a whole bunch in a turn and draw 6, reload 6 as far as skills go that you need to work on individually. Maybe it's just the turn, maybe it's just the draw, maybe it's just the reload piece, maybe it's the Burkett reload, maybe it's just the transitions, maybe it's a trigger break at speed. Oh my gosh, there's a million things on there. So if your dry fire is on purpose, you're going to get a whole lot better, a whole lot faster, and you're not really spending money. You are spending time. I think it's still very important, but at least you're not spending the money piece. Then on the range, you are testing out the things that you're learning at home in dry fire. If you're doing dry fire correctly, you will spend less money on the range, because at the range, you're only going for, okay, maybe you're bringing 100 rounds, 200 rounds. You're going to test the skills that you've been working on in dry fire for however many weeks you've been working on the dry fire piece. In addition to that, here's some other cheat codes. You can do a whole bunch of like live and dry at the range. So combination of both. Let's say you're doing, I don't know, a 5 target array. You could, if you're just working mainly the transitions, you could do 1 per target. You don't have to do 2 per target. If you are doing 2 per target, maybe you do 2 on the first target, then dry on 3 and 2 on the last target. Or some variation, like every other target gets bullets, every other target just gets like a gun pointed in the middle of that target. And because the gun's not going off, guess what? You're learning a whole bunch about like, oh, when the gun gets there, I tend to latch onto my sights. Because the gun's not going off, now I can see that. So there's that dry live piece that saves you money on the bullet side and also makes you learn more if you're paying attention. There's a lot of 50-50 drills that I talk about in my classes, like a one-shot doubles. Every single one of my classes gets one-shot doubles. So instead of just doing doubles the whole time, traditionally doubles is 4 pairs, essentially as fast as you can press the trigger. Blah, blah, blah. There's a million videos about doubles. If you can find the right people on YouTube talking about doubles, it's probably good. There's some people that don't know what they're talking about, but that's a different conversation. So you know that in doubles, you're looking specifically to a small spot the entire time and you're pressing the trigger twice. And then only after that second shot breaks could you even maybe recall or tell with some degree of certainty where the second shot broke. But there's no correction time inside the 2 shots to correct where the second shot's gonna go. But if you're doing this correctly because you're staring at a spot on the target, boom, boom, as the second shot breaks and you can kind of tell where the gun is lifting from that second time, that's where the second shot went, right? Now, if you're doing a 50-50 exercise, the first round is a live round, the second round is a dry round. In other words, there's only 1 in the chamber, no magazine, boom, click. On that click, now, even though the gun is still kind of moving on that second shot, when you press that second trigger, if you're doing it correctly, the sight should be hanging out right where you're looking at, ideally, right? So the first round, boom, the gun lifts. Second round, as the gun is returning, you don't have time for correction because, again, you're doing a double, right? You're doing predictive shooting. So you press the trigger again, so you may not be able to like react to the sight returning because that's reactive shooting. But as you press that second trigger, the gun should be parked kind of on that spot you're just looking at. And that helps you to figure out like, oh man, like This is what I tend to do on shot 2. What most people will find is that they shoot shot 1, boom, then the gun goes below the point of aim and then back up to the target while they're pressing the trigger. That's that low shot that you're getting over and over again, but you don't know it because you always do it with 2 rounds and you're trying to think that, oh, I'm jerking the trigger, which is totally dumb. No, your grip stinks, right? You have cancer on your grip and you're trying to not jerk the trigger, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that, but as a specific thing to look for in dry fire where you can save some money, instead of doing doubles with 2 rounds, you can do doubles with 1 round. You can do transitions with 1 round. Like I talked about earlier, we do a 50-50 kind of transition thing where you can shoot 1 on one and then an empty on another one, as far as that kind of thing. Or like I said, arrays where you're only shooting 1 per target. So there's some saving on the ammo if you'll be creative enough, and I think that piece will also not only save you money, but also open up your vision and your brain to like, oh, I am seeing more because the gun's not going off, and I can pay attention to specific things because the gun's not going off. So it's actually really beneficial, not a money saving thing. So to recap, yes, the dry fire piece is important. Also, how good your dry fire piece will be probably more important than anything. Like what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it is very, very important in dry fire. And that will save you money. And then when you go test stuff, just bring like only 100, 200 rounds at the range. Don't bring 600, a full bucket. And then by the time you're done at the range, you will have shot pretty much everything you brought. And it was kind of unproductive because you couldn't pay attention so much after some time. So only bring a little bit, only do that little bit, and then move on. Okay, so that'll save you a bunch of money. I hope you find this helpful. Like, comment, and subscribe, and send your questions below. Get after it.